Folks, I can't blame a lot of fans. I can't blame anybody, wrestling insiders, sources. I can't blame them for feeling worried, for having this, for having this. How do you put it? This overwhelming sense of dread when it comes to how WrestleMania 32 is being presented. It's it's almost like WWE officials, not just creative and booking, but the officials overall, those that sit in the offices of Stamford, Connecticut. It seems no more focused on breaking the damn indoor attendance record with this event than they are putting together a good show. And I think it's just pathetic. And I'm not the only one. I mean, WrestleMania is being headlined by 3 money-making matches. 2 potentially there will be show stealers, if not match of the year candidates, if not match of the night candidates. And one that basically fans will shit upon, excuse my language, God, but they will shit upon if the outcome they know happens becomes a reality. And if I'm WWE, I need to wake up and realize that if I'm going to salvage this WrestleMania, if I'm going to salvage it, it's not just being the most attended WrestleMania of all time, breaking an indoor attendance record, but I need to book WrestleMania in a way that's going to make those 100,000, those 105,000 plus fans feel like that despite the ups and downs during the event, they at least got an entertaining show and they got their money's worth by coming out to Dallas from all over the world to see it live at AT&T Stadium. Those watching on pay-per-view like I will, because it's a tradition for me to record it every year, and those watching on the network, I want to at least make sure I give them something that makes them feel like they spent the money's worth. And even though some of the matches, some of the moments, some of the spots may have not been the best of the night, and some of them may have been shoehorn ugly, that at least, in my opinion, if I'm WWE, they got their money's worth. They at least will look at it at this year's WrestleMania, know they've made history by making it the most attended WrestleMania, if not the most attended sports entertainment event of all time, sporting event of all time. But they will also, like I say, thoroughly entertained with what they saw, despite its ups and downs. And that sounds great and everything, right? But there's a problem. Like I said, you got 3 money-making matches. And unlike WrestleMania 3, well, pretty much that time, that 93,000, or as WWE says, 93,000 more along the lines of 74,000 fans went to the Silverdome to see the biggest sold out the Silverdome to basically see Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant, which was the main reason they went to see it, because they wanted to see if the impossible would happen between these two larger than life figures that basically surpassed wrestling and were multimedia figures in shows and movies. They wanted to see who was going to come out on top, and they wanted to potentially see if what could be done can be done and was done. And that was Hulk Hogan slamming Andre the Giant and ending his undefeated streak for the past 15 years at that time. That was one of the main reasons they saw it. And true, there were some matches, Savage, Steamboat, that stole the show. And people probably remember just as much, if not more so, than Hogan and Andre. And yes, there were some matches that filled up time. Some were good, some were bad. Some made you question what the hell they were doing there in the first place. But at least the matches that mattered the most, Hogan, Andre, despite how, let's face it, how shoehorn ugly it could have been, Savage and Steamboat, and the Matt Classic they had, that at least those matches, those two matches particularly, helped save that pay-per-view. It helped salvage that pay-per-view. It helped give those 74 to possibly 93,000 fans in WWE's eyes the money's worth. It gave those that saw it closed-circuit television the money's worth for knowing that they went to the theater to see it live. It gave those that when pay-per-view was finally happening, it was part of pay-per-view, know that they got the money's worth. At least those two matches, and I believe one or two more, helped them salvage that event. It made them look back on it with fondness, made fans look back on it with fondness that grew up at that time. But as much as it gave us a chance to look back on it with fondness, like I said, as much as it allowed fans like me to look back on it with fondness, again, it had its hiccups, but still, it was the matches, it was the money-making matches, the one that really the people wanted to see, and the one that stole the show surprisingly. And like I said, the one that stole the money, stole the show, and surprisingly even surpassed in match quality the main event, which was the selling attraction point. It helped salvage that event. And now WWE is potentially come full circle, because now they got to try to do it again. But this time they can't depend on the WWE World Heavyweight Championship match to do with between Roman and Triple H, to do what Andre and Hogan did, and that's close out the show and salvage it with a decent story. Because obviously, let's face facts, fans are more knowledgeable and smarter these days than they were then. And they realize when in their eyes, they see someone like Roman Reigns and they feel this guy is just not ready yet. They feel this guy's still green. This guy, basically, in their eyes, should still be in NXT. So, to them, so nowadays, today, And again, today, nowadays, it's it's a lot harder to do what was done 29 WrestleManias ago because it can't be done. It cannot be done. You cannot depend on your World Heavyweight Championship match like with Hogan and Andre to close out the show, and with 100,000 fans cheering Roman at the end if they go with booking him to win the championship, like they did with Hogan, like they did with Andre after he beat Hogan. I mean, not Andre, but Hogan after he beat Andre. It's not possible. But could they still salvage the show? Could they still save it? Can they close it out with a match that fans will appreciate as the closing match? And I believe they can. But unfortunately, that match cannot be Triple H and Roman Reigns. That match has to come down to one or two matches. Dean Ambrose, Brock Lesnar, which is probably less than likely, or more realistically, it's got to be Shane McMahon and The Undertaker. It's got to be one of those two. And if I'm more realistic and I'm sort of building it up as being just as important, if not more important, as the WWE World Championship match, then I close out WrestleMania 32 with Shane McMahon and The Undertaker. That's what I do. I close it out of respect to The Undertaker. It's in his hometown, his home state, and his home territory, Dallas, Texas, Arlington, Texas. I close out the show there. I let him close out the show with his Hell in a Cell match with Shane McMahon. And if they're going to go in the direction of letting Shane win and have Shane go over and win and get control, then that is the best way to end WrestleMania. It is. Because these guys, despite how bowling shoe ugly, to quote JR, it might look, these guys are going to deliver a good Hell in a Cell match. And it might be the second most vicious Hell in a Cell match we've seen in the past few months, last being Brock Lesnar. Like I was saying, out of respect to The Undertaker, knowing that it's in his backyard, in his home state of Texas, in his backyard of Dallas, Arlington, Texas, I think it's only appropriate that you do that. And if you're planning to have Shane win and gain control of Raw, if not the WWE, in storyline, and then maybe as the person that's in control, hand Raw and potentially the WWE over to someone he knows can give everybody that fair shake, then I think this is the best way to go. I really do. Because you're building it up to be just as important, if not more so important, than the WWE World title match. And let's be honest. If what the Schleg Daddy and the Lex Man have all said about potentially the way you could close out that match, if not WrestleMania, by not only having Shane win, but have Vince get so mad at The Undertaker that The Undertaker retaliates and tombstones him in the middle of that ring to close out not just that match, but to close out WrestleMania 32. True, in defeat, The Undertaker would have won, in a sense, because he basically would give the fans watching at home on pay-per-view and on the network, and those 100,000 plus fans in AT&T Stadium a moment they've been waiting for. And that's not just Vince McMahon being tombstone and resting in peace, but the authority themselves being rested in peace. That is basically how I feel they could salvage and save this event. You cannot close it out with the WWE World Championship match just like you did 29 WrestleManias ago with Hogan and Andre. Times have changed, times are different. And now you are at a point right now where WWE has to do exactly what I suggested. They have to go the Shane McMahon Undertaker route as the closing match, as the true main event of WrestleMania. You could have Roman Reigns as probably the second to last match if you want to do. You can have Triple H Roman Reigns as the second to last match of the night if you want to do it that way. So you can have your back-to-back main events, but it cannot close out WrestleMania. Shane McMahon and The Undertaker have to. They have to close it out. Heck, if you want to, you could do Triple H Roman Reigns as the third to last match, do Ambrose Lesnar, and then Taker Shane. It makes more sense because that way you get this you get this sickening, disgusted feeling that the fans are going to have with knowing Roman Reigns is going to probably come out as the champion. You get that taste out of their mouth as quickly as you can by giving him these two other matches, if not the match that closes out the show. It makes more sense to me as a fan, and I'm sure a lot of people watching would agree. It makes more sense. Now, unless like one person was theorizing at WrestleZone.com, unless you're planning to do a double turn and Shane McMahon not only wins control of Raw, but then he helps screw his brother-in-law out, and Roman Reigns becomes his not only becomes champion but becomes his corporate champion. Then yeah, I could see maybe wanting to close it out with Roman Reigns and Triple H, but it still wouldn't help. Still wouldn't help. It still wouldn't matter because fans won't care. Because you see, you would have to do something to legitimize that, oh, it's a double turn. And fans still won't care. They might care when they probably figure out, oh shit, we got set up. But that won't be until maybe the aftermath, until reality starts to set in. It'd be kind of like when The Undertaker lost to Brock Lesnar. It took all of us, even myself, a moment to register what the hell we just saw. And what we just witnessed. And that's how it's going to be if they go the double turn route. But again, this is why WWE, in my opinion, because apparently everybody has said it, WWE is not going to turn Roman. They're not going to do it. They're too stubborn to realize they need to do that. And they need to do something to salvage his character. Badass him if you have to, which I think is the best way you can salvage him. But to me, again, I don't see how this is going to help salvage. To me, the only match I know that's going to help salvage this event, and in the end, is the Hell in a Cell match, and that's the only one that should close out the show. Not the WWE Championship match, not even the No Holds Barred Street Fight, but the Hell in a Cell match. You need to close out WrestleMania with that show. Like I said, you could put the WWE World Title match second. That way it gives people a little time to wipe the taste out of the mouth. Or you can make it third to last. But you cannot close out WrestleMania with the WWE World Title match. This ain't WrestleMania 3. This ain't 1987. This isn't 2016. This is almost 30 years later. Times have changed. Fans have changed. And WWE, they know they cannot, excuse my language, God, they cannot fuck this up. So if I'm WWE, the pieces align right here and there, right here. The pieces to the puzzle are right here to piece together to properly close out this show. The match is right in front of you guys. Shane McMahon, Undertaker, Hell in a Cell. That's how you close out this show. That's how you salvage this show. Because you can't do the WWE World Title match. You can't. So, that's basically all I'm going to say. Because this, in my opinion, is the only way they're going to salvage it. If not, despite having 8 matches, as of tomorrow night at SmackDown, officially on television, despite having 8 matches, maybe 1 or 2 being on the pre-show. So let's just say 10 matches overall, because we're probably going to get 1 more. So probably have 10 matches, 9, 8 matches, whatever, 1 or 2 being on the pre-show. Well, we're going to get 2 more. What am I talking about? We're going to get an Intercontinental, and we're going to get AJ and Jericho. So you're going to have 10, 2 being on the pre-show, so you can have 8 on the official card. And the Lexman's probably right. You're going to have a 2.5 to 2.5 hour, 5-match, maybe 6-match show from NXT TakeOver Dallas blow WrestleMania out of the water if WrestleMania doesn't do something correct. If they don't do something right to help build the show in the next few weeks, as well as book the right match to close out WrestleMania, and that right match has got to be the Hell in a Cell. So that's just how I feel WWE can save WrestleMania 32. Save and salvage it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'm out.